And when we look at being beach body ready, the fact is, you go into Ibiza, there is a beach, you've got a body, so you're ready. Is that the case?
For me, that would be fine. You take on board so much of everything else that's kind of portrayed of what you should look like. So for me, I couldn't care less what people think, like, to be beach body ready, and I would wear a bikini. I've always wore a bikini. I'm not going to stop now.
No, absolutely.
And I don't feel I look too bad when I have a bikini on. So like me, it's not to be beach body ready, but it's to be more comfortable in the warmer weather. It can feel quite uncomfortable if you're a bit bigger. So for me, it's not being beach ready, it's just feeling more comfortable, really.
Feeling more comfortable, yeah.
Because I would wear a bikini now and not be bothered.
Slimming Storage is branching out. I've created a Facebook group, and over the next couple of months I'll be building the community, starting with live Slimming Story conversations. This is your opportunity to feature on one of the upcoming podcast episodes and share your weight loss journey. Are you with me? All you need to do is just click on the link in the podcast show notes or search for Slimming Stories within the group feature on Facebook. I would love to see you there. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slimming Stories. I'm your host, Claire Oldham-West. Today's episode is a different take on the normal episode that we normally have. This episode was recorded within my Slimming Stories Facebook group, the Sharlene Rowan. Sharlene Rowan has changed her dress size from a size 26 to 28 to a UK size 16. And the reason that I wanted to get Sharlene on to discuss a weight loss journey with myself in the group is that I just wanted to kind of touch on things that are affecting other people that are losing weight right now, that are in that moment where they've got those intentions to lose the weight, you know, just coming out of lockdown. All these feels are real, and I just wanted to really bring it home to, I guess, to listen to somebody who is still on that weight loss journey, just like Sharlene, just like myself, and just to keep it really real. In this episode, Sharlene and I speak about things around body image. We basically connected when I knew that Sharlene had got a goal for July, and I was wanting to reach a goal for July too, and how it's been working towards that goal, and what we found when we felt that we wasn't really truly on track, what has been able to bring us back to that goal, and where our focus is too. You know, I talk about being bombarded by magazines as it's getting closer to summer, those really dodgy magazines where we see the transformation photos and having that image where we're comparing our own bodies to an image that is not even real because it's been touched up in the studio, compared to one that's on a beach, full sunshine, where you see all the cellulite, all the beautiful humps and bumps. You know, we need to get away from that and just to keep real. And I think this is what this episode embodies. It's really, really real. Sharlene, bless her, she's so funny. She does make me laugh. And when we did this episode and we recorded it within the Facebook group, this is the first one that I've actually done. Basically, Sharlene was in a car and the audio kept interrupting, which basically meant that I lost Sharlene, I think either 3 or 4 times. I think it was 3 times altogether. So the fact that I've been able to take this piece and edit it, I feel quite pleased with. But you will probably hear that I'll say things along the lines of, oh, you're back, and then we laugh about those things, obviously. But yeah, it's a really real episode. Happy Bank Holiday Monday. I've been super, super busy, and I'm so excited to get my business off the ground. And I do touch on hypnotherapy within this episode and my experiences with that. And that will be one of the therapies that I will be offering very, very shortly. So I'm very excited just to kind of introduce you very gradually to hypnotherapy. And I'll be talking more about that in the upcoming weeks ahead. So here's introducing Sharlene Rowan to Slimming Stories along with myself, just keeping it real for anybody that is struggling on their journey and everybody that needs a bit of real talk, I guess. Here's introducing our episode. If you just want to start by telling the listeners who you are and a bit about your weight loss story today, and then we'll get started.
Hello everyone, so I'm Sharlene. I am just 35 and I live in Sheffield. I have probably been overweight since I was about 12, but it never really bothered me. I think at my biggest, I got to a size 26, probably could have been a 28. Had I have gone on a few more weeks. My turning point was going to Evans and being told that something didn't fit, and I was already in a 26 then, and they didn't have the next size up, and I went to Slimmi World the same day.
Wow.
It's been quite an up and down journey, and I think in the space of about 8 years, I've probably lost and gained, and then lost probably the total of about 20 stone. I'm still currently classed as morbidly obese, even though I've lost 10 stone.
And why I wanted to invite Sharlene on today was just to talk about how we get back on the saddle after COVID, after all that time being indoors. I think the first lockdown wasn't too bad because it was nice and sunny and it was summer and all was well. Then came the winter, and I think it's all about, just getting back out there, getting back on it, and how we feel doing that. When I think quite a lot of us have gained weight over being indoors because we've not had that, being active or anything like that. And I just wanted to remind anybody that's listening, just about those magazines that you can buy. There's magazines that you can buy in the summer, and it will be like, look at this lady, look at this star that, she was on the beach, and then it shows you like this really bad lighting and like cellulite and things like that. And then almost like a transformation post after that's obviously in a duller light, more flattering. And how those kind of magazines are published ready for when we need to be. There's lots of noise about being beach body ready. Isn't there, Sharlene? Isn't there? Lots of noise about being beach body ready. What? Dear me. We have to, honestly, people have no idea what it's like to do a podcast. I can remember being on to Aoife in Ireland, and I had to get my husband in. I was like, why is this happening to me? And we was like filming in a storm. So what I'm saying there, Sharlene, before you go again, is, can you remember that time where there was lots of these magazines? I think they're still out there, I don't really buy magazines. The photos were like really awful.
They're all enhanced as well, aren't they? They're all photoshopped and edited. It's not really giving a true picture.
No. And I'm sure they'd also get people like running down the beach, and then taking like the image and then doing the transformation of where, the in a like a studio, fantastic lighting. It's like, what the hell? What even is this magic? What is this magic? It's crazy.
I tell you, it's some magic that's not in my own house. I can assure you.
It's definitely not in my house. Absolutely. I mean, I can't remember the last time I wore a string bikini. Definitely, I think it was in my 20s. But, I was just touching on there about being beach body ready. And you mentioned there before you cut off for the first time that you've lost this 10 stone and then you've like gained it again. And I think what I love about you, Sharlene, is I can really relate to your story. And I got in touch with you recently just because I knew that you'd got a goal ready for July and I'd got something in mind for July. And I thought we'd just bring you on and just talk about that, and also getting that momentum and then slipping back and then keeping on it.
Obviously, there's not really been a great deal to look forward to over the last few months, and I think it's been quite depressing not really having a goal, obviously being summer ready, but you can't really go anywhere. Last year my friend got engaged and she asked me to be her chief bridesmaid. The wedding is in Ibiza and is fingers crossed planned for the end of July this year. Obviously, if things change, it will be next year. So my kind of goal, I don't necessarily have a size or a weight that I would like to get to. It's just perhaps a little bit more streamlined to where I am now. I don't want to be skinny. That's not a goal for me, is to be thick thin. I just want to feel a bit more comfortable when it's warm. I think being bigger as well in the warmer weather always has its own difficulties about what you're going to wear, how are you going to manage the heat. And I just wanted to be able to be there on the day and feel more comfortable in my outfit and just in general. And I didn't want to be looking back at the photos in years to come thinking, oh God, I wish that I looked a bit different, because that was one of my biggest things of one of my own photo memories is I can't believe I looked like that, and it really upset me for a long time, and I just didn't want that for this. Yeah, as I say, I didn't want to get hung up on like, I must get to a size 10, I must lose 5 stone, because I think for me that's a bit unrealistic. I just wanted to perhaps drop a dress size, so there'd be more choices for me, and I wouldn't feel like I'd have to squeeze myself into something just to say that I've got something and it fits. That was kind of my ultimate goal for the summertime, really, was to feel a bit better body-wise.
Yeah, and just be a bit more confident when you're on that beach at that wedding. And God, that's so exciting. I really hope it, fingers crossed it goes ahead. So I'm just gonna finish off where Sharlene left there to say that I got in touch with Sharlene. We'd both got this goal around July, and I wanted to speak to that momentum piece. That momentum where you really want to lose the weight, and you're trying to push through and really, really get to that goal. And what's helped me is that I have been going to hypnotherapy, went in December, had a session in December, and I've recently had another session. And the reason that I've chosen to take on board hypnotherapy as a therapy is that I recognise that sometimes that push through doesn't seem to come very easy, and that hypnotherapy is something that can really help you if you really struggle in times of chaos and your focus is all over and it's really hard to get on board the weight loss train and really monitoring your focus on your food. Then what hypnotherapy can actually do is basically have a conversation with your subconscious mind. So when we think on a conscious level, so for example, we'll think, okay, I really don't want to have that cake. I really don't want to have that cake. I really don't want to have that cake. And then what actually happens is your subconscious will connect to have that cake, have that cake, have that cake. So it's a bit of a battle. And it's almost like the more that we say it to ourselves, the more we actually want the cake. And what hypnotherapy will allow to happen is a process of change. So, for example, the one thing that I noticed is straight away, my portion size was literally halved. I was not wanting to clear the plate. And when I've, in the past, done Slimming World, I've loved pasta. Honest to God, I'm sure I've got like Italian blood in me somewhere. And I would eat and eat and eat and eat pasta. But as a result, especially probably since March, since I was furloughed and I've actually now left my day job, set up my own business, spending more time indoors, having the pasta, which is free, and having potato, which is free, I just ended up feeling like an absolute barrel and not eating to my hunger, I guess. So although what I was eating was a healthy plate, I was really struggling just to eat to my appetite. And what the hypnotherapy process allows to happen is it allows you to reconnect with those hunger feelings. And when you're actually full, instead of thinking, I'm not going to eat that because that could allow me to put weight on, you naturally feel satisfied with your plate. So it's a fantastic tool to use if you've really struggled with particular food groups that send you over the edge, like, I don't know, whether it's chocolate or wine, and you know that these things will mean that this will jeopardise your weight loss journey. Hypnotherapy is just a fantastic thing to try. Hi, Sharlene. So where was we? Third time look.
I am listening all the way through. I have heard everything. I don't know why it keeps going off.
No, it's fine. So what you're saying there is that you've got this wedding coming up and that you was wanting to feel confident. It wasn't about getting to a small size, but you was wanting to feel confident. And when we look at being beach body ready, the fact is you're going to Ibiza, there is a beach, you've got a body, so you're ready. Is that the case?
For me, that would be fine. You take on board so much of everything else that's kind of portrayed of what you should look like. So for me, I couldn't care less what people think, like, to be beach bodybuilder, and I would wear a bikini. I've always wore a bikini. I'm not going to stop now.
No, absolutely.
And I don't feel I look too bad when I have a bikini on. So for like me, it's not to be beach body ready, but it's to be more comfortable in the warmer weather. It can feel quite uncomfortable if you're a bit bigger. So for me, it's not being beach ready. It's just feeling more comfortable, really.
Feeling more comfortable, yeah.
Because I would wear a bikini now and not be bothered.
No.
I went on holiday just in this country last week and had swimwear on, and it didn't bother me. And I did joke actually that I was like a reject from Baywatch, but that's just because I'm always used to kind of doing the funny thing. And I actually thought I looked okay in my swimming costume when we went away last week, but I don't really care what the people think.
I know, cause I know that you posted on Instagram and said something about your boobs or something. I mean, you know, I've got a big chest, but then all my family have, so we're used to curves. We're used to not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a case of we have to like hide away. It's a case of we stand with a strong back, and that's it is who we are, and we show the curves off. We're not scared to do that. And I think when you sent that photo over on Instagram, and you were saying, you mentioned about your boobs, and I'm like, you looked amazing. It's funny though how you mentioned about being confident in your bikini, and yet you're on about being a Baywatch reject. You looked amazing in it. Honestly, you really look fine.
I think it's kind of just because I'm so used to being fat and funny. It's always been my go-to as being not even like a coping mechanism. It's just been something that I've never really had a problem with doing. And I think that's probably perhaps the reason why, just to make a joke out of things.
Yeah.
And it's not a confidence thing. I think it's because I was so used to doing it when I was
like a habit.
much bigger. Yeah.
So it's like a habitual thing, yeah. You spoke about going to Ibiza and wanting to be comfortable. And I know that we've been messaging back and forth, and at the point where I felt that, I was struggling, that's when I went and had more hypnotherapy. So how did you get over that lull that you had when we was in touch, wasn't we? We was messaging, and then I think I had my lull first, and then you had your lull. What does it take for you to get back on track?
So obviously I've done slimming for years and years, but it's only really since Christmas this year that I've ever done a food plan, that I've ever sat and wrote down on a Sunday. I've started my week from the Sunday, catered my shopping around my food plan. I've always tracked food, but I've never ever thought ahead. It's a really good thing to try and keep your mind focused, because I knew from when I got home, right, this is what's for tea tonight, and I knew that I was within my plan. And I think when you get home, or when you've been out, or when it comes to time for food, and it's like, right, what shall I have? And you're looking through the cupboards. That's a key time for me to binge, is when I'm cooking food. I'll have a biscuit, I'll have chocolate, whatever there is. I'll have something out of the fridge. I don't want it, but it is such a habit that I've got myself into. And I found that having that plan and then spending the time where I would have been picking and nibbling on bits of food out of the cupboard, I'm now spending that time preparing the food, cooking it, and then it's done. I know obviously when we started, we were doing a really good buddying system.
Yeah.
And I think for anybody that's kind of listening, if you're not confident in going to the groups or attending somewhere face-to-face, there's always other means to do that. There's always going to be somebody that's looking for a bit of support. It just depends where you want to go for that. It doesn't always have to be face-to-face. Obviously, we've never met, but probably spoken on and off for the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And it's been really positive for me.
Yeah, it's really helped me too. And I think since lockdown, lots of things have changed since lockdown. But what this has really helped me to do is really think about nutrition a lot more.
When I'd Frozen, you were talking about how you were eating pasta and potatoes quite a lot.
Yeah.
I revisited my Slimming World starter books, so all the stuff that you get when you're a starting person. And I've never done feed and protein meals, and it's surprising how much you rely on rice potatoes and like baked beans.
Yeah.
So although it's a free food, I think that was where I saw the difference. So I
Yeah.
don't know whether it's how I process them in my body differently or I was the quantity. But I definitely saw a change from just putting those three things out.
Really looking at a healthy diet in terms of the actual food rather than it being like a free food. And since I've been looking at nutrition and calories and, like you say, looking at protein, because there are carbohydrates, and I didn't realise until I started looking at the nutrition around foods that there's carbohydrates in fruit and vegetables.
I think it does take a little bit of time to get your mind to rethink about food again. And I really struggled in, right, what am I going to have? What can I eat? What am I going to have for each meal? And that was where the planning for the week really came in.
Yeah.
And actually, the meals, aside from missing the potatoes and rice and the beans, I didn't actually have to cut anything else out. And it was the stuff that I was already eating. I think it was just re-looking at what you're cooking and how you're doing that.
Absolutely. I find that for me, having things like oil and butter, having the calories from oil and butter, I'd rather have some oil and some butter and not have large amounts of pasta, but have my calories from that, have my calories from my protein and healthy fruit and vegetables. I'd rather have that on a plate than have like a massive plate of pasta. And that, when I was doing the Slimming World and I was on that plan, basically my main dish was, I was having pasta for lunch, I was having pasta for tea, and although it's free food, my belly, my actual gut, just it's basically a bit, I'll say it's not really messed up, but it's just...
Are you vegetarian, Claire?
I went vegan. I've tried a vegan diet. At the beginning of the year I went 4 months vegan, but I don't eat a lot of meat, but I do like fish. So a lot of the meals I eat now are around fish, tuna fish, and then having like lots of really nice vegetables roasted, but then having some meat to that, and eggs. I love eggs. Yeah, and that's really, really helped me. And I think, you know, when we think about these big goals around being, you know, beach body ready, being, you know, wanting to get ready for your friend's wedding, I'm wanting to get my wedding rings back on in place. We just need to think that, you know, that is the ultimate goal, but just be kind to ourselves and recognise that, you know, it doesn't have to happen overnight. And what is the worst thing that's going to happen, you know, like with yourself? What's the worst possible thing if you go on holiday and maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable? You know, it's not the lifetime. And just the same with my wedding rings, you know, what's the worst possible thing? You know, I'm still married.
Even if you can't get them on, you can put them on your necklace.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And when you start thinking about things differently, thinking about your mindset, then it's almost like when the pressure is eased, then you can live a little, can't you?
That pressure doesn't come from anywhere else, though, just yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's some of the pressure is good because that's how you know, that's how you get on with your life. But heaping loads of negative pressure on yourself is no good for your own well-being, really, is it?
That's it.
And I think that's why I didn't want to say, right, by July I've got to have lost 5 stone. I don't think it's realistic, and that's why it's just, I'd like my top to fit a bit better, or I wouldn't like my breast to gape, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, right, I must shed this weight.
That's it. I think really focusing on lifestyle goals is a lot healthier way than putting pressure around numbers and figures on your weight loss journey. And I've really loved, and I know you'll probably think, my God, she's crazy, but I've really enjoyed my morning runs. It's really been beneficial to me. Got me in a really good mindset for the day. I've really, really enjoyed it. And I know that you're up against the clock, Sharlene, because is your daughter nearly ready?
I'm all right for another 10 minutes and then I'll have to go.
Right, okay. If my son bursts through the door, he's on his way back from the gym, so we shall see. And you know, it's like, who are we trying to prove? Are we ever going to be in one of those magazines and I was, you know, looking at in this terrible bikini and then in a Photoshop bikini? We're not, are we? We're not going to be in that position.
Well, you might be, love, but I'm not being splashed across OK magazine in such a string number from us.
It's never going to happen to me, Sharlene. I promise you that. It's never going to happen.
I think as well, you know, even if you've not had a massive weight loss, that you don't have to be a success to have lost loads and loads of weight.
Yeah.
Even just recognising that you need to make some changes is a massive step.
Yeah.
That takes people a long, long time.
Yeah.
I think to get to, doesn't it?
It can do, and it is around mindset, and it is, you know, then things come into your life where you will react, because I would say like 99.999% of people that attend weight loss clubs have basically a response to, you know, emotions, uncomfortable emotions with food, and that's what they do. And then it's like, okay, well, we need a plan of action, where really the first thing that, you know, should come before any weight loss plan is actually looking at the reasons and exploring the reasons why we're reaching for the food instead of processing the emotion.
Within a general slimming kind of setting, you don't get to explore that, and I think it's only perhaps when you're in the middle of your journey, or perhaps you've got to a target weight, for example, that you might be able to look at that. I think stuff like that would be really positive to look at within a group setting, but you just don't get the time,
No.
you know, to explore that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping to do with obviously the Slimming Stories, and just to have those conversations that we need to have. You know, by all means, you know, these groups are amazing, but they are time focused, time conscious. And to be honest, I think I've got a lot of benefit from being online and having conversations around other people on Instagram that are really real, that are really true about their journey, and hearing about, you know, from their posts when they've struggled to have a run. The lady that I published on the podcast this week was from somebody that I interviewed way back at the beginning, and she spoke about going out for a run and really, really struggling. And I thought I can really relate to that. My last run, which was on Wednesday, really struggled. I wanted to stop. And then my friend was like pushing me through.
You still went for a run though, didn't you? And I think it's not all, sometimes it's not always, you're not always going to have a brilliant week, and it's how you then recover and carry on. And you don't like, oh God, I've not, you know, another day's gone by and I've not done what I set out to do. I think having that mindset is wrong. And you've kind of got to give yourself that opportunity to make things right again. And even if there's no success, still maintaining a healthy lifestyle is the success without it on the scales kind of thing.
Absolutely. I mean, the scales, the issue with me for the scales is that I just got my head in a really, really negative space with scales. I think I spoke to you before where...
I have to be obsessed with scales.
Yeah, where I think I would go like every month, and I was trying to do like every 3 weeks and every 2 weeks. And I don't know if Vic is on still, but we've met up and we've spoke about Slimming World and nutrition, and so she isn't a Slimming World fan, and spoke about in particular the scales, and what she basically says is if you weigh every day and then look at an average. And to me, the thought of weighing every day is like alien. It's like, oh my, there's no way I'm going to weigh every day.
You weigh every day.
Yeah. However, having weighed every day, it stopped me being obsessed with the scales. Now, when you think about what it actually means, is the actual science basically means that you're looking at an average because of the fluid that you can retain. And what's happened in the past when I've got on the scales, maybe if I've been working away and I've had a lot of carbs, even though I've been on plan, that can affect my weight loss. Or what I've eaten in that day, you know, whether I've had soup at lunch or whether I've had a pasta dish, all of this can affect your weight loss because of the fluid that you can retain.
Everyone goes to Slimming World before they've had the tea. Everyone always goes to Slimming World before they've had the tea. Make sure they go for a wee. No one's going to Slimming World after they've eaten a full Sunday dinner, are they?
Exactly. That's it. That's what you have to do. But no, there's definitely a conversation around being weighed and not being scared of the scales, because just looking at the science behind it. Yeah, that's definitely a conversation. And I can't wait to see your photos in Ibiza. You're going to look amazing in that. Are you going to put that on Instagram?
In the string number, it'll be amazing.
It will be, absolutely. It will be. And I'm sure you're going to have a great time. And I can't wait to hear all your stories about how that will be for you. So have a great evening. Thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, you're welcome. Take care and I'll speak soon.
Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye. I think what I really love about this episode is when Sharlene talks about being a success isn't necessarily about having a fantastic weight loss. It's not about being skinny. It's not about, necessarily being at target. It is just about making those, those lifestyle changes and sticking to those, which, let's face it, they're the key components of holding together a real transformation weight loss story, aren't they? It's about taking a habit, changing it up, and then sticking with that and doing it again and again and again, and not getting sucked up into the negativity of, it's summer and I'm not at target, or I've been on the journey for so long and I'm still not at target. It's about taking healthy steps forward and then rinse and repeat until you find the momentum to carry it forward and then reach the goal. But, success is not just about being at target. And I've listened to lots of members in the past that have reached target and then they've gone and put the weight back on. Because it's that intensity, isn't it? And this is what we speak to in this podcast. The fact that, take the pressure off yourself. Take the pressure off. And whatever those healthy changes are, whatever you've decided to commit to yourself to do, commit to yourself and make that intention real. Make it bold, make it bright, make it the thing that you really, really aim for. But don't put such pressure on your shoulders that it feels too heavy and you don't actually get off the starting line. If it's feeling too heavy, then just, reassess. And it could be as things come in and out of your life, as, situation changes, that it could be that this is a process that you just re-evaluate. And I think the important thing is just not to stop. Don't stop, keep moving forward, but reassess if you need to. And, look at that pressure and don't drown yourself under the pressure that you're under, especially now, it's coming up to summer and it's all about the summer clothes and it's all about showing our bodies off. And listen to Sharlene when she says, she's going to be on the beach in a bikini, but she has always been on the beach in a bikini, whatever size she has been. And that is some confidence, isn't it? That is body confidence. And you've got to love yourself. You've got to be able to look in the mirror and look at that reflection and be happy with what you see. And what do you need to do today to put that focus into action? What changes can you make just to be a little bit more at peace with your reflection? What changes can you put into play to make you feel more body confident? Have a real think about it. And, if you've got clothes in your wardrobe that do not scream, this is me this year, get them out of sight. Either put them in a suitcase, get them in a loft, recycle them, send them to the charity shops. Really focus on you in this moment now, on building your body confidence now, and don't get swept away by the shoulda, woulda, coulda. Think about you in this moment now, and just like Sharlene said, you may be on that beach in Ibiza in your stringy bikini and absolutely loving your best life. And I really wish that for you. Ibiza, my goodness, I would love to be there. So jealous. It sounds amazing, and I'm really hopeful that wedding goes ahead for July. And thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Slimmi Stories. And if you're new to the podcast, please hit subscribe wherever you found me, and that would really help me to climb the podcast charts. So until next time, take care, have a great week, and focus your intentions. Don't beat yourself up, take the pressure off, and I will be here next week with more Slimming Stories. Take care.